Monday, March 24th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we're back from Anime Boston, and we're talking about internet services that are dead. What to do about it?
Let's do this.
So a while ago, a beep started happening in my apartment.
Oh, wasn't it the Fios thing?
It was the Fios thing. But for a while, Scott pointed out that I opined at length on multiple Geek Nights episodes in the past that the best way to annoy someone is to make a device that intermittently beeps and is self-powered and hide it in their apartment.
It's called the Annoyotron. ThinkGeek sells it.
Exactly. So I investigated and pretty quickly discovered that my Fios it has a backup battery, and that battery had died. So here's where it gets complicated. So I silenced the alarm because I didn't give a fuck, and I'd deal with it later.
I've heard it go off, though, recently.
Yes. What I confirmed is that everyone else's Fios batteries in this building appear to also be dead.
Oh.
So it's beeping in other apartments as well, and none of those people probably notice it. That's my guess. So I Googled around a little bit online, and a lot of people are having this problem, both that their neighbors don't know and aren't replacing the battery, or they try to get the battery replaced. And guess what? Verizon won't replace it. You have to pay money and buy your own battery.
Okay.
That's hidden in the Fios terms of service. So if you have Verizon
Shouldn't
Fios...
you just recharge that shit?
Yes, but it's like a UPS. Eventually those batteries stop working.
It's only been there not that long.
Since 2009.
It's not that long.
That's a lot. You realize, Scott, UPS batteries are usually warranted for 1 year.
Ugh.
So,
It's
yeah.
awful.
So I have to buy a battery, but I'll do that later. So at work today, we're in a conference room, and I wasn't in on Friday because of
And
Anime
you heard
Boston.
a deet.
I heard that dude. No one noticed it. So I just waited all day. It happens every now and then. No one notices it. So finally I asked everyone, did anyone else hear that beeping noise? Nobody.
They probably have bad hearing.
Yeah, I'm convinced that nobody has good hearing except me.
We're
maybe
the only
you.
we're the only people who can hear the TVs. They go. Dee.
I remember that experiment. We did the single blind test of can you hear the TV, that old TV, the 74 color RCA. And I recall that both of us could hear it outside with the door closed.
It's like we went outside the room and we said, all right, you don't tell us if it's on or off, right? We'll tell you if it's on or off.
And we're like, it's on. It's
Yep.
off.
They turned it on and we said, it's on. And they turned it off. We said, it's off. And then it's like, it was up to them to decide whether it's on or off. And this works. This is a good test to do because like those people who say they get Wi-Fi sickness, do the same thing. Say, all right, go in the other room where you can't see, and I'm going to turn the router on and off, and you tell me whether it's making you sick or not.
Yep.
And they won't be able to tell you the moment you turn it on.
Even better, if you tell them you turned it on, they'll start faking all the symptoms.
Yep.
So yeah, if you have Fios, go check and see if
actually, this will be the same with pretty much any sort of fiber service. I just don't know if other services besides Fios might just replace your battery and not be assholes.
I don't think anyone else will replace the battery.
You know what else
either.
you could do, right? Is you could just go buy a bunch of the batteries and go around the building selling them to people for a lot of money.
I could put on overalls and put a name tag on that doesn't actually say I'm from Verizon's
it
Fios.
says Verizon.
No, it says I'm a fan of Verizon Fios. That's free speech.
Sure. Just trademark infringement if you got their logo, though.
Yeah, if I use it for purposes of defrauding and because you can use a logo for fair use in certain.
But the thing is, you actually wouldn't be defrauding people. You would just you're selling them the legitimate battery for a legitimate problem that they do have.
Yep.
And
for a
actually
reasonable
helping
price.
You're just selling it for an overcharge,
$70.
which every store does. I mean, that's what stores do. You're basically being a store. So what's illegal about that?
Yeah, door-to-door salesman's coming back.
Right.
So kids, if you have Fios, go check and see if a big red light is on that says replace battery. If it is, and you didn't know that until now, your hearing sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
You should go get a hearing test. I mean, just in general. It's like people go get eye tests even if they don't have eye problems, right?
Yeah, because you might not know you have glaucoma. For real.
I was talking actually with the chair of Connecticut in Anime Boston because like his wife told him to go to the eye doctor even though his eyes are awesome like mine.
Yep.
And it's just like, yeah, but who gets a hearing test? Even if you go to get physicals, like when you're a kid and you go get physicals, they always give you the hearing test, like which ear did you hear that in and shit. But adults tend not to get hearing tests, and you should probably get one at least once in a while, every few years or
What
something.
I don't understand really is why my hearing is still so great, because I've abused my ears quite a bit over the years.
I've abused them moderately, but it's like going in the subway, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I wear, well, you realize now for the last, since we moved into the city, I wear my etymotics when I'm in the subway every day.
Etymotics help.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But seriously, like
I think other people, it's like we abuse our ears somewhat. We go to a concert once in a while. We listen to a loud music once in a while, right? But the other people are like, the people who have bad hearing problems are really, who don't have it for some other reason, right? The people who physically damage their ears with loud noise, they are doing way, way worse than we are. It's like we're doing it in moderation.
You know what? It might be genetic.
They're
like,
ODing.
It might be like the thing where if you make it to...
Yes, I am. We already know I'm genetically superior to everybody. We don't need to remind
Scott,
everyone of that.
With your double veins.
That's right.
Your double veins. Scott's double veins, everybody.
I got 2 sets of veins in case I won't get a heart attack in the other ones.
But like our friend Pete, like he went to get hearing testing, and they were like, "Yeah, you have hearing loss in all these areas."
He knew he was like almost deaf in one ear.
But you know what happened? They gave him a hearing aid, and
it's
you know
an
what?
awesome hearing aid.
It transformed his life.
It's got like Bluetooth and shit, and
so in general, my advice
you can
to
also
you,
turn people off. You'd be like, "Oh, I feel like being deaf again. I don't have to hear your yapping." Off.
If you're a nerd, you should try to augment your senses if you can. If you have kind of okay vision, why not have perfect vision?
Yep.
If you have kind of okay hearing, why not have perfect hearing?
If you're poor and Obama didn't help you with his Obamacare.
Yeah. Well, so at least know that you have a bad hearing and
Buy
bad vision.
some bootleg hearing aids from China.
Move to Europe where they have universal health care.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So newses. Up until now, I mean, it's not secret
like
that we are anti-smoking and such.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, again, just to be very clear, I don't care that it's bad for you. I only care that you smell like a dead rat.
I also care that it's bad for me if you smoke near me.
But bad for me does not bother me as much as smells bad.
Both of those bother me. But it's like, if you were just hurting yourself and not hurting me, I wouldn't give any fucks. Look at all the 0 fucks I give, right? Which is why, until today...
Never divide by the number of fucks I have given.
Until today, I was super like, yeah, e-cigarettes, awesome, because that means someone can, if they want to be stupid and poison themselves...
I know what your news is.
They can poison themselves, and they won't be poisoning me. They're just spraying water vapor around, no problem.
Well,
it turns out there are 2 newses here. News number 1, not really a bad news. News number 1 is simply that there have been quite a few cases, over 1,300 cases in 2013, which is an increase of 300%, of people who just took e-cigarette chemical and like drank it or some shit and crazy poisoned themselves.
Yeah.
Because that shit is basically almost pure nicotine.
You know what? You know what I blame this on?
You.
The people who use drugs, like perhaps marijuana, they know a lot about their hobby usually. Mm-hmm. So they understand about concentrates and hash oils and resins and whatever. But guys who smoke cigarettes already don't really have a good grasp of causality and already don't really recognize that nicotine is a straight up poison.
Right. There's only been 1 death since 2011 because of this. Someone who killed themselves by injecting it on purpose.
Injecting it?
Right. But there have been a lot of people. For example, one person, according to this article, had some of it spilled on them, and it absorbed through their skin, and they had cardiac problems immediately, pretty much.
I can believe that.
They didn't die, though, but... that's not good.
Yep.
So
I've also read a lot of stories about people basically ODing just because they don't know how to set the dosages. They don't read the manual.
Sure. I mean, this stuff doesn't really bother me so much. I mean, like, Drano, which Rim just bought, is super dangerous.
Yep.
Right? But I guess it's not that dangerous that you pour it on your hand and you have cardiac problems. You just burn your hand.
Yeah, really badly.
But if,
I'm afraid of Drano. Don't get me wrong.
People have always been getting hurt by dangerous chemicals in the home, right? We already know how to deal with that. And
perhaps they have
I don't think
hands
we should.
With danger.
I don't think we need to regulate dangerous chemicals in the home, especially when they're useful chemicals that are legal and whatever, right?
Yep.
But here's another article, and this is serious biz. So apparently, people, basically there weren't a lot of studies done in these e-cigarettes. People just sort of trusted, and I guess myself included, were stupid enough to trust that, like, yeah, it's just water vapor coming out of there, right? It's just a heating element. Right? And then water, and it burns all the chemicals and shit, and all of it goes out one way, and then like the steam water vapor comes out the other
well,
end.
it doesn't burn. It evaporates into a
Sure.
mist, or that you can then inhale,
Well,
hopefully to absorb in your lungs.
Sure, but it turns out that actually that's not just water vapor coming out the other end. Like, there is mad amounts of heavy metals and other nasty stuff that comes out the other end. Nicotine comes out the other end also.
Yeah, so you know what? Fuck you guys. We're banning them in the same level that we banned cigarettes.
Yeah, up until today, I was like, e-cigarettes, all good.
So
But
if you've got
starting, unless you can prove to me, right, that you have developed an e-cigarette to where truly only water vapor is coming out the other end and only poison goes out your end, then as we had assumed it was until now, well, these guys found out poison's coming out both ends, so fuck you.
So
you can't go poisoning people
if you
who
whip
happen
that
to be
shit
near
out
you.
at a convention, you're a dickbag, and we're gonna kick you out.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird. Like, last year, if someone whipped it out at a convention, I'd be like, all good. Someone whips it out at a convention I'm at tomorrow, I'm going to say something. And if I'm staff, I'm going to do something.
Yup.
So, and I'll bring out this article on you.
Now, I still think everyone who does this sort of thing
It's
especially with
stupid. It's
nicotine-
just as stupid
no.
as someone who smokes.
Yeah, but you know what? Go nuts. I'd rather you do this because at least you won't smell bad. And
Sure.
I won't-
Yeah, I'm not. Okay, it's if you're going to smoke, like the choices are do this or smoke actual cigarettes, yes, this is still a better choice for you to do. Right?
But no, if you're gonna smoke something, smoke marijuana. Jesus Christ, kids.
That's still, I mean, you're still poisoning, people. But
well, it depends. Yeah,
yeah.
it's not.
Not if you're gonna ideally don't smoke shit.
Yeah, vaporize it. Brownies.
Brownies is actually probably overall the best way. You are truly
it's
only poisoning yourself, and you cannot possibly do anything to anyone else near you in any way.
You know, there have been a couple of cases of people who have been aerosolizing Vodak and inhaling that.
Well, I mean, there's oxygen bars too, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like if you're spraying that shit all over the rooms, like you walk in the room and you get wasted, that's a problem. But if like you've got a little thing where you put it over your face and you push a button and it goes
I just imagine people in Russia like vodka hotboxing.
right. If you just put a thing over your face and press a button and it goes tss, and vodka comes out, it's like, well, you can't get anyone else drunk with that unless you put it over their face. And which you shouldn't be doing because that's basically just assaulting someone.
So I got kind of this is an opinion. Twitter turned 8. It's 8 years old now. A lot of articles about, oh my God, Twitter's 8. And there's a lot of articles. Well, yeah, I feel extra old now.
Sure.
But there's a rumor going around that they're going to remove or minimize the @ signs and hashtags
How could you possibly do that? What?
by having the clients basically either auto do it to where once you type @ to type in someone's name, you'll never see the @ sign in the responses.
Oh, it'll just be like in the metadata?
You'll just see a highlighted name.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's
Well-
basically what Google Plus does. Is like you send things to, and it's all metadata. You don't actually lose space in your tweet or your Google Plus message. Not that those have limited space, right?
Yeah.
But it's just who it's to and who it's from is all side metadata, and you can now get your full 140 characters worth. I'm in favor of that.
But at the same time, I'm conflicted for one reason, because I've seen other services and other things, programming languages, scripting, lots of things where you have some sort of syntax. And like HTML, a lot of people to this day don't know HTML. It's basically hidden from people who don't like go looking for it anymore. As a result, a lot of people in forums can't fucking type anything. But my issue is just that if you remove them from the client view and just replace it with hyperlinks, it sort of, I don't want to say dumbs down the interface or dumbs down the experience, because it's not at that level. It's like one step above dumbing down. Like it removes a little bit of context, and it sort of removes that trigger for people who are young or people who don't use this technology a lot that, hey, maybe this tool is more powerful than I realize it is. It removes a little bit of the explicit prescriptive nature of this language.
I mean,
and
so if I
replaces
write
it
a
with-
tweet, that says, "Hey @Shazar, what's up?" Is it going to just is it now that tweet is going to basically be rewritten instead of just say, "Hey, what's up?" and there's an @Shazar sort of attached to it somewhere?
that is likely what they're going to do. This
So
is
you
all just
can't. I mean,
rumors.
what if I'm like, Shazar and went to the store today, and now everyone of who's following me is just going to see went to the store today, and then the metadata will be like @Shazar, and that actually changes what I said. So that's a problem, right?
Yep.
You got to leave. It's okay. You just have to leave the name in the tweet, right? And you can save me those characters. That's cool because then I can type more, right?
But
you
problem.
still have to leave that in there, and you can put it in the metadata too.
Well, here's the thing: if you do it the way Facebook does it, where like I got a graphic here. That's what Facebook does. Where once you type it, it replaces it with this like iconic link to the person's name.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
but
cool.
There's an argument to be made. I'm not really making it strongly because I don't have a strong opinion on this. That by removing the @ from all the published tweets, the average non-tech dumb user will forget or not they forget how to or not realize they can. Like they won't know how implicitly to include someone else's name except via some sort of GUI.
Well, Facebook, you don't even need to type the @ You can just start typing someone's name.
Yep.
And it's all good. So it's like, okay, good. Why should we have to type the @ Now I can use the @ symbol to actually, there are a lot of times in Twitter, I want to use the @ symbol to be an @ symbol, and I can't because it's all trying to be an @ symbol.
Yeah, but if that's based on names, in Twitter, people's handles are usually something far different from their name.
Right, like what if I start on Twitter?
I type S.
What if someone's Twitter handle is like fruit, and I'm like, man, ate some good fruit today. It'll be like @fruit.
Yep.
And it's
or
like, no.
What if it starts auto-completing? Because the only reason I can use
sure-
ads is that it auto-completes.
I'm sure Twitter engineers are not going to fuck it up, and they have thought of these problems.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that in general,
I think this is a case of you're almost leaning towards being one of that if you go farther with this, you're being like that guy who's like Twitter redesign. It's like, yeah, shit changes, deal with it.
Oh no, I don't
Who
care.
Cares?
It doesn't affect me. I wonder.
That's definitely gonna happen though. As soon as they change it, that guy
God.
that guy is gonna come out again. He's gonna be like, they changed it. The change is bad. Can't have any change.
Can't use Office 9 to 8 because it's different from Office 9 to 7.
Yeah, that guy. Eat a dick, that guy.
Yep.
I hope they do this just so that guy will get enraged again. Just to troll that guy. I want this to happen.
But whenever you do design, just think about there's a fine line between streamlining an interface and hiding useful complexity or useful declarative means of communicating. The @ is a very definite, declarative, prescriptive. It says very clearly this is syntax that has meaning. It's a reserved syntax. By removing that from the outward view, like for example, if I want to autocomplete, how does it know I start typing someone's name? Do I type @ so that it knows to autocomplete?
Facebook solved this problem.
Yes.
It's just really fucking smart because they have a zillion developers.
Yep.
And nothing you could ever program, but they got it. Done.
Yeah, but at the same time, Facebook names
just because you don't understand how they do it.
But I'm saying Facebook names are first name, last name.
It doesn't matter.
It does a little bit.
You haven't used Facebook. It just fucking works. It knows.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll work the same way on Twitter.
I'm
where
sure
people...
the Twitter engineers, who also is another company with a ton of really smart people working at it, will be able to develop equivalent technology.
Well, here's the thing. What's interesting is that all this discussion is based on our rumor.
Oh, well then, who gives a shit?
Yep. So, things of the day. We're at Anime Boston. Our good friend Mike Toole stepped up his technology game.
Okay.
So, he presented his usual anime hell. And just to give you guys...
Took a little trip to hell, 2 hours.
Kipu to Jikoku. So, for those of you who aren't animes, anime hell is something special. So, I want to share with you just a little piece of hell. We can share this hell together. This is Shake Hands with Danger.
Well, and then end up in hell.
It is actually the remix of Shake Hands with Danger.
Which is why it's worth watching.
So I will link to you, just for reference, the original Shake Hands with Danger. And just enjoy it for what it is, and let us never speak of this again. If you ever come to an anime con, and you want to find us, if you see an anime hell, we'll probably be there in the front room, half asleep.
So... the show, we're going to talk about what to do when, cloud shit goes down. But sometimes local shit goes down. And, we always talk about backups. Yeah, have backups if your shit. But sometimes, right, you can't have a backup. For example, the most common case is you got an SD card in your camera.
Yep.
It's very rare that you have a camera that will take a picture and save that same picture to 2 SD cards simultaneously.
Now, you might have the workflow of every time I get home, I dump everything from my SD card into my SAN.
But only professionals will have, they'll take the HDMI output of the camera to, multiple recorders and shit or like us with our mixer recording to the Marantz, which isn't on right now.
Yeah, I think I ran out the battery at Anime Boston.
And also, if the computer, we're not doing it right now, but usually Geeknights is recorded to 2 places at the same time, right?
Yes, but also Audition has really good backup.
Right, but what if you take photos in your camera or make a video and the SD card in there dies?
In the time between,
and you even if you're super good about backups, you're just fucked right there, right? There's nothing you could have done about that without being super pro equipment.
Yep.
So what do you do in this situation? Well, here is someone posted a thing on Reddit titled "How I Lost Over 100 Pics to a Corrupted SD Card, but was able to recover most of them." And the method he describes is not too bad, but in the comments, there's tons and tons of other people talking about all different ways to get you out of this situation, all kinds of different softwares you can get and use, and other techniques. So this is a real problem that you can have, and a case in which even someone following best practices will need to do some sort of data recovery, and this is going to be super useful to you at least one point in your life. So save it in your Delicious or your somewhere until that day that will inevitably come.
Now, you got to be careful because undeleted data could often lead to a cleaning.
That is true.
Speaking of which, the book club book is wool with a capital W, like the stuff that comes off of the animal.
The sheeps?
Yep.
Yep. The sweaters?
I'm pretty far
the
through
wool
it now.
over your eyes, which is what the book is talking about.
But also the wool used to perform the cleanings that are part of the wool.
I think that's steel wool.
Yeah, it's still wool.
Maybe. I don't
You said steel wool. You're going to tell me that the metaphor does not extend
wool,
that far.
The steel wool actually have even one piece of sheep in it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that book is exactly what Scott's bells went off, and I got the same bells. We'll talk about it when we do the book club book. If you're not reading that book, the book club has a ton of other books we talked about, including the 2 official books of Geeknights, The Prince of Nothing and Player of Games.
Yep.
I think few books will unseat those 2.
Probably not. Other meta things. Anime Boostin' is over.
Yes,
so
we done.
We done until next year. So we're gonna maybe upload a video or
we'll
other
see.
stuff.
So
maybe.
I don't want to waste time on this. We'll talk about it tomorrow. You know, the Animu Day, but Anime Boston has some ridiculous security theater that made it such a pain in the ass that we didn't video most of our panels because the city of Boston is full of scared, horrible people, or at least the people in charge of the group that makes the decisions like this are scared and horrible people. So we had to get searched and or metal detector pat downs just to go into and out of the con. So we tried to be in the con as little as possible and bring as few electronic pieces of equipment for them to manhandle as possible. Some cool listeners got some video of us.
One guy.
Yes.
I don't even know if he's a listener. I think he was just a guy.
And I got video of a panel because it wasn't actually in the convention center.
He's in the hotel. He also got video of that panel, so we can combine his video with our video to make a 2-angle video.
Yep, so we'll see. I'll get around to that. But unless that policy changes, we're never videoing stuff at Anime Boston again. So
yeah,
you got to see us live if you want to see our anime panels.
At least at Anime Boston.
Yeah, what other anime cons do we go to?
Other conventions are coming up, so not
Zenkai Con.
Oh, hold on, not this weekend, but the weekend after that is the Mocha Fest in New York City.
We'll be there.
We'll go there as usual, just like a one-day in and out deal as always.
Though, as a side note, it's interesting that none of the people we know who usually are at these things are going to have tables.
Mocha is having some drama. Who knows how long that will go, but it's been a good ride. We've been going to that shit since like 06, 07.
Yeah, back in the Puck building, but might be trouble this year.
Who knows? Other things, the week after that, the greatest convention except for PAX Prime.
Yeah.
PAX East.
We will be presenting at least one panel, the one that is announced Friday, 1 p.m. in the Badger Theater.
Otherwise, we'll be enforcing and playing Netrunner.
Why
and such.
No one will game with you.
Come see that. If we
it's
do
about
another,
exactly what you think it's about.
It's possible that we might do another panel that's not yet on the schedule. If that's on the schedule, you'll be able to see that too. Who knows when?
Yep.
Or if.
So not too long after that, April 25th, 26th, 27th, we will be at Zenkai Con for 2 of those days.
Whoa.
We're doing a bunch of panels. I don't think the schedule's published yet.
Don't go to Zenkai Con unless you really, really, really like anime
Zenkai Con is worth going to in one of 2 cases. Anime is your fucking thing, and you have money.
And you love those. You're a cosplay person. You love doing those anime cons for all that they are.
Or you like anime and you live near the convention center.
Super near the convention.
If you live nearby to where you could just go there for a day, pretty much any con like this is worth going to.
Zenkai Con is not worth traveling or hoteling for. If you are
well, we're traveling and hoteling for
If you are
it.
a person like, who is like us, but not a panel doer.
What? I thought it was near
Or a
Philly.
staffer.
Apparently it's 90 minutes away from Philly?
Yeah, it's out in the sticks.
Yeah, where the fuck is this place?
I mean, Philly's already the sticks. This isn't like the twigs.
Oh, I clicked on the link that tells you how far away, and I got the requested page /droop/node/87 could not be found.
Okay.
Sorry, Zenkai-Con.
Sorry.
We're doing a bunch of panels
We got to
there.
be honest. The reason we go to Zenkai Con is because our friends staff/run it. And that shows what kind of people we are.
Yep.
If we did not do that.
All right.
If that was not the case, it would not be on our radar.
we'll be the
there are
jerk.
anime cons just as minor as this one that are closer to us. That we do
There
not
are
even.
3 ways to get us to come to your convention. 1, impress us. 2, pay us. 3, be friends with us.
Right.
That's it.
Then we feel some sort of obligation to go.
4, if I can get to your con via the New York City subway, and I don't have to.
I would go to your con by Metro North Railroad if I could go and come back in the same day.
All right. You have to be connected to the greater mass transit region of New York
I'm not
City.
using Jersey Transit though.
No. I said New York City.
Yeah.
Path doesn't count.
Right. If I have to use a PATH train, this ain't happening. Or an Amtrak, that's not happening either.
Yeah, no Amtrak.
Bolt bus maybe if it's a really good con.
Yep. I'm going to be in Paris the week before PAX East, so any cool nerds hanging out, I might be able to hang out with you. Though,
And I guess there won't be any Geek Nights that week.
yeah, no Geek Nights before
Why don't
PAX.
we do Geek Nights Paris? Get your Skype going on.
We could try that. Might be able to work that out.
Why don't we do a Google Hangout, right?
We'll do a live Google
It'll
Hangout.
become a Google Hangout on air on YouTube.
Maybe I'll do that.
And then
every
you
time
can
I'm
be
in
like,
another
you
country.
could be all like Eiffel Tower, and I'll be all Empire State Building.
Je suis le roi de la pomme de terre. Je parle français.
And I'll be all mine is bigger than yours.
Nah. I'm really excited to be going to Paris now that Paris's pollution is almost as bad as Beijing's.
Is that really true?
It's really bad.
I didn't think there were factories in Paris.
Paris actually is having some serious problems lately, and they've banned half of car traffic like a lot of other cities do.
Good.
To cut down on the pollution.
Okay.
They do it even odd on the license plates now, I think.
Bring me back some breads.
Yeah, that'll make it through customs.
It's just bread.
Yeah, that'll make it through me sitting on a plane with it.
Bring back yeast.
I don't want to transport organisms via international travel.
Anyway.
Also, it is so fucking hard to get flights to and from Boston, Jesus.
Just to finish off the meta moment quickly, you can find us everywhere on the internet that people are doing things. Google+, Facebook, Twitter, even
Twitch.
IRC, Twitch, YouTube, every place.
G+.
Our website, frontrowcrew.com. You should go to those places, go to our forum, go everywhere that we are on the internet and be with us on the internet where we truly live. Not in Paris or New York, but the internet.
So, kind of worried that Flickr is going to die.
It'll die sometime.
I think it might be sooner than later because on one hand,
Well, I mean, some years.
well, I remember a couple years ago when Yahoo, well, not a couple, God, whenever Yahoo bought it, I remember thinking right then and there, this is going to die. And I remember backing up everything I'd ever uploaded because I was so afraid that Flickr was going to die then.
Yeah, I've already got the backups, in terms of like, Lightroom and whatnot. So I'm set.
Yeah, but now the thing is, I figured with the new CEO and with Yahoo trying to double down on stuff, I figured maybe Flickr, which is one of their only worthwhile products, I figured they would actually invest in it. So far, they have not invested in it. The API is barely responsive and barely available. And most tellingly, when I complain about problems on Twitter and I at them, they never respond.
They probably just don't have a social media person managing that account.
Yeah. Sign number 1, your company is fucked. You don't have a social media person managing that shit.
Yes, Yahoo may
I
abandon
dude.
or kill Flickr. It is somewhat more likely than many other things, and it is a bigger, more popular service than many other
Dude,
things.
I have complained about way smaller things than Flickr, and even without adding them, the companies involved find me on
Right.
Twitter and tweet at me. And
But
try
I'm
to
not
try to
worried
fake it.
about it, right? Because look, Little Old Delicious, right, was abandoned by Yahoo, and some other company bought it, resurrected it, and it's still running, even though I'm guaranteed there's no way that's making money or anything.
I don't know if they can make money off of Flickr.
Flickr is so big and so popular. If
Is it?
Yahoo bails on it, someone will buy it, and that person will be easily able to make it successful.
I worry that Flickr's business model might be untenable.
The worst case scenario.
I mean,
for
I pay for
Flickr.
Flickr, guys. That says a lot. There are not many things that I will pay to use on the internet.
The worst case scenario, if Flickr goes out, it'll become a Google Reader situation where all these competitors will show up and you'll be able to like click a button and migrate your Flickr to them and you'll be all set.
My trouble is that Flickr's appeal is that I can upload basically the most gigantic images.
That is, I mean, really, I would much rather use
Picasa?
Picasa, Google, whatever.
It has the same. Picasa has shit
At least,
functionality.
well, I mean, when I started using Flickr was the only game in town, right? But nowadays, I think Google's a little better. But the advantage of Flickr is that for a very small amount of money, like Libsyn, I can upload infinity high-res photos all I want.
And I have a camera that, my RAWs are 20 to 30 megabytes each.
Right, and it's like, I'm not one of those photographers who's only uploading low-res JPEGs because they care about someone stealing. I'm all Creative Commonsing, which is another great feature of Flickr. They were like one of the first places to be all Creative Commonsy.
Yeah.
So, I would much rather use the Google stuff, but Google lowered their prices recently, actually,
but
to be more reasonable.
With the number of images
They're
I
not
take,
as reasonable as Flickr if you want to do all your photos at ridiculous high res.
Also,
just because
Picasa's
you're a nice guy.
sharing and all this stuff just kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like Flickr actually built all that stuff out ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when these services die? I mean, I got a Wikipedia page of the list of everything that Google has ever killed. It's substantial.
Well, I think the thing to remember, right, is that what is the cloud? And the best way to describe the cloud to people who don't know, or even to yourself if you think you know, is say a sentence with the word the cloud in it and use the word the cloud properly. Then rewrite the sentence and replace the cloud with the words someone else's computer. So it's like, yeah, all my photos are stored in the cloud by Flickr. All my photos are stored on someone else's computer run by Flickr.
So you got to get into this. You got to really think about my stuff is stored on a bunch of other people's computers who don't know each other and kind of hate each other.
Right. So you just have to remember the simplest answer is if your shit is on someone else's computer.
It's all on Cassius's computer.
Yeah. If all your shit is on someone else's computer, you got to have backups on your computer. And
well,
then
no. You've got to have backups on your attached storage that itself is backed up redundantly.
Right,
locally.
but I mean, on a computer that you own, right? Somehow, right? That's where you have to have things, and sometimes it's okay to back things up on someone else's computer from someone else's computer. Like, back up my Flickr on Amazon S3. That's a good idea, right? Because the odds of both of those going down
at the same time
really low, right? So it's like no matter which I have to migrate from or to, I'll be able to, have my data will be somewhere on someone's computer, and I'll be able to copy it to someone else's computer. And then if they go down, I'll copy it to someone else's computer. So no matter what, my data will be on someone's computer.
Yep, Snorlax will never die.
Right.
But when it comes to cloud services, the best way to think about whether or not you have to worry about a service actually disappearing is, one, is it a service that you envision someone could make money off of if they weren't stupid? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, Google Reader, you cannot make money, at least enough money to matter, from RSS readers. RSS, we've talked about why it's kind of dead.
Yep.
You can make money off of photo sharing. In fact, photography is getting a big boost with these Micro Four Thirds.
Yeah, and there's lots of other photography cameras are not selling, but
cameras aren't in general.
Photography is a huge boost from phones in general.
That too.
But there's plenty of photography services, new ones all the time, because you can make money with a good one. See Instagram. See, I guess that 500px is the new hotness as well, right? So there will always be somewhere to put photos.
Yep.
Photos will always exist.
Amazon, AWS. Yeah, they could just turn off their computer and you're fucked. But you know what? If Amazon shut down tomorrow, you're fucked.
Netflix is also fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked along with everybody else. You're fucked along with people who have way more money and way more guns than you.
Right. So you're good. You're sailing in a boat with badasses. They're protecting you.
You want to be in a boat where
if that ship sinks, they're sinking too, so they ain't letting that happen.
Yeah, the Google Reader ship was basically just like a barge of refugees slowly sinking in the Pacific.
Right. Just try to imagine the service as a boat. See who's on the boat. See how awesome the boat is.
Google's like a flotilla of aircraft carriers and battleships.
Right, so it's like Google. Do they make any money on Gmail? Yeah, they do. But imagine if they didn't. What kind of boat would you imagine Gmail being? It would be this massive, luxurious cruise ship that like billions of people are on all at once having an amazing
But
party.
meanwhile, Google Lively, it was like this dinghy that sank and no one noticed.
Right.
Google Page Creator.
I don't even know what Google Lively is.
Oh my God, Scott! Some of these are great. Google Ideas. Google.
I know what Google
Crisis,
Ideas is.
Let's see. Google Lively is a 3D animated chat program. Launched. Oh my God. Launched,
I never knew about this.
Scott, launched July 2008. Closed December 2008.
Yeah, I could have predicted the year was going to be the same year.
Google Hello
Never heard of that.
allowed a user to send images across the internet.
What? Do we have that? It's called the internet.
Google Buzz.
I know what that is.
I remember Buzz.
I have a Google Wave.
Squared. Remember Sets? Google Sets is gone apparently.
Oh, Google Sets is really useful.
Google Sets was the best. All we did was type a bunch of anime in that would recommend other anime that we'd like.
Google Lists, I think, was the same thing as Sets or different?
That was a different thing. Google Null.
Yep. I know
Google
what
Wave.
know what that is. Yep.
Yep. Google Picnic. Google
don't know what that
Building
is.
Maker.
I don't know what that is.
Meebo. Google Latitude.
Wait, but Meebo, they bought Meebo?
Yeah.
But Meebo.com is where you go and you can...
Could discontinue June 6, 2013.
Meebo.
Meebo. It's not Google, but remember Beluga basically got bought by Facebook and then fucked to death.
I guess that's what happened to Meebo. No, not
Yeah.
Meebo, no.
Yeah. Google Fast Flip.
I have no idea what the hell that is.
Google Reader.
All right,
I don't know who used that.
We're not going to sit here and read
This
all
whole
these.
episode could be me reading these.
Let's not have it be that.
Yeah.
Okay, so actual technical things you have to do, right? So you've been uploading your photos to Flickr, right?
Yep.
And maybe you've deleted them locally, right? We're going to assume the worst case scenario.
Which actually I had for a
Right.
lot of my photos.
Right. So we're going to assume the worst case scenario here. Your shit is only on Flickr, right? What do you do? Well, Flickr has an API. So as of today, you can actually get little scripts and programs on the internet that will actually download your photos from Flickr to your local computer.
With the metadata, or
With-
at least as much as it can get.
Yeah, with the tags, the titles, all that stuff. So you need to find one of these things by Googling, I hope you have those skills, and run it. Then from now on, anytime you upload stuff to Flickr, just think of that as sharing the photo. Keep all your photos locally, following all good backup procedures, which we will not discuss because that's another show that we've already done.
Yep.
Okay, so that's pretty simple right there, right? Oh, but wait, Flickr actually goes down one day. Now what do you do? Well,
Yep. You gotta reshare all your shit somehow.
right, you need to pick a different service that does the same thing and use their API to re-upload everything with that metadata to them. Also, you'll probably get some warning that Flickr's about to go down, and you can rerun that Flickr backup script to get that metadata. Also, you can maybe set that up to run weekly or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, I've tried. I set up my two-way sync. So basically, in Lightroom, to give you an example of this workflow, to keep myself independent, I create sets in Lightroom. Lightroom is the authoritative source.
Yep, me too.
I will create separate sets in the Flickr integration piece, and I'll put photos into that. So I only put the photos into that I'm publishing. I don't put everything in there. And then those sync up and down. So if I fuck with the photo on Flickr, that metadata comes back into Lightroom.
Yep.
If I delete the photo on Flickr, it deletes it from that set in Lightroom.
Yeah, Lightroom is fancy Adobe Creative Cloud software, but there are plenty of other software packages you can get that
Dude,
do
the first
similar
time when
things.
Yahoo was buying Flickr, a lot of people sold like $10 application that will download everything.
You don't really need an application if you know how to write a program or run a script or do there's free things. There's all kinds of ways to do it. All right.
The internet will tell you how to do it. There'll be facts overnight.
Right. Something's not going to go down suddenly and disappear. But there are
Well,
other
if it
issues.
does, that's a separate problem.
There are other issues. For example, on your blog, you've had all these links pointing at various photos on your Flickr, and now those are not working links anymore. What do you do about that?
Unless you have a really advanced CMS, content management system, you're basically fucked.
Yeah, it is possible, but it's a huge pain in the ass. Basically, what you need to do is look at the stuff you've backed up from Flickr, figure out what the URLs were, right? Then search your database or whatever for any links to those photos. Then after you upload to the new replacement service that you're using, figure out what the new URLs are, match the new URLs up with the old URLs, and edit all of them. And it's up to Flickr to maybe do some redirecting. You can't control that.
Flickr's not going to redirect shit.
Right. So, other services, right, say like a Delicious, you don't really have to do anything because you could just do your backups of Delicious once in a while, and you don't really need a replacement service for that so much.
Well, you're getting into, web browser bookmarks are the replacement for that service.
Well, that's not a good replacement.
It's
at
better
all,
than nothing.
I guess. But
plus Chrome syncs.
The download you get from Delicious is basically like a big HTML or XML file, or whatever, and it's just useful on its own.
But thus you've danced around the issue. Here's the key. Don't use services that don't have APIs.
Or don't have backups, right? Like Twitter only somewhat more recently allowed you to actually get an archive of all your tweets. And Gmail also allows this now too. Put a reminder in like your reminder thing, because some of these have to be done manually by clicking, that you should do that every, week, month, whatever. I'm doing it every month, and I'm putting them in like S3 and Google Drive and other and my local drive, my local NAS, safe places to store stuff.
Yep.
What other kind of situation might you have? A hard one to deal with might be something like YouTube, right?
Well, again, someone can make money with that.
Sure, I don't think YouTube is the least likely
but
to die.
It's one of those situations, though, kind of like Flickr, where if I didn't have YouTube available, I guess I could use like Vimeo or something.
But what if Vimeo's something that could die?
Yeah.
Maybe,
that's why,
possibly.
Well, the trouble is
they make money, but it's possible.
Because
it's more likely than YouTube dying.
We're pro, but we're not pro in the sense that when we do these videos, right? Like Geeknights Presents or our panel lectures. I have a ton of raw video and the projects, but eventually, once I've made a lecture and it's done, I'm never going to use that footage again. I do delete a lot of the original source material, so
because it just takes up too much room. I can't back all that up.
I could. It's not worth the effort and/or expense.
So then I render like the final video and I upload it to YouTube. But then I usually delete the rendered thing.
No, I do
YouTube
not. See, Scott,
is successful.
I delete the 40 gigabytes of like B-roll and raw masters. But what I do is I'll usually render out a watchable version, like one I could just watch on my computer, and then I render out the one that I upload to YouTube, the one that's like a 50 or 100 megabit per second. It's like a 40 gigabyte bullshit file. So just crazy, crazy high quality, and that's what I upload to YouTube. But that way I have a usable video and the highest quality master I'm gonna get.
Why are you rendering a video that's like 100 megabits per second when your source raw isn't 100 megabits per second?
Yeah, well, I said that was an example. Actually, what I do is I render it at YouTube's recommended. They recommend between 20 and 50 as just what you should upload.
But if your source, but I mean, like your camera, what's the bit rate that it records at?
Yeah, well, it depends on the
video.
video.
If you're rendering at like 20, but your camera's only, most cameras are not recording more than like 8 or not. They're not much at all, right? It's crazy that the GH4 does like 100 or maybe in some cases 200. It's ridiculous.
Yep. The key is I keep the highest quality master I could get. And I keep that forever. It's on my NAS up there, and it's also backed up somewhere else. In fact, I have a rolling archive. I have all these.
All right, we're not talking about just regular backups. We already talked about.
Yeah,
right?
but the point is, I keep all the masters. So if I had to, I could take the final versions of every video we've ever made and upload them all to another site if I needed to. But I do not keep the material I would need to remake those videos clean.
Another good strategy is to. It's like there's lots of all these services, and they all have APIs that need to be talked to, but nothing is ever quite as good as just a Linux computer, which is like can do anything, right? So getting like a very small, very cheap virtual private server, like from Linode, DigitalOcean, or some other hosting provider, even Amazon EC2, some hosting provider that you're pretty sure is not going to die, right? It's just a Linux computer. So it can always be replaced by going to another hosting provider, right? It's like if Linode goes down, I can go to Amazon. It's like there's always going to be someone selling Linux machines. So then what you do is you create on that machine, that very tiny, very inexpensive server, all these scripts that are basically doing all these backups, like backing up the Flickr, backing up, the Gmails, backing up Delicious, and that basically is handling all that biz for you all the time. And if anything ever happens to it, well, you can just, it's a Linux machine, so you can easily copy it somewhere else, no problem.
If you have FiOS, put it in your house. Just build a desktop computer, put it, something you're not going to use on a daily basis. Get a shit ton of cheapo, like 2 terabyte hard disks.
The cheapo magnetic ones.
Yeah, just 5,400 RPM bullshit. Just throw them in there in some sort of like RAID 10, because whatever. And then just have that sit with your FiOS, constantly scheduled archive backups of everything. And just let it run, let it hum.
there are other things you might not think about backing up. This is the real hard problem is not something going down and surprising you. It's something you didn't realize that you wanted to back up, right? For that, like data that you have, you didn't really think about.
Like if you use Spotify or Netflix and you like musics, like you star some music, you make some playlists.
Yep.
You've rated like 4,000 movies in Netflix because I learned something disturbing actually yesterday. Apparently, and I haven't verified this myself, if you cancel the DVD part of Netflix, you can't see DVD-only movies in the interfaces anymore, and all your reviews of them and your star ratings are no longer accessible, and they'll never be recommended to you.
What if you pay again? Will it come back?
I don't know. I got to do some investigative journalism.
Well, I
on that
canceled
front.
Netflix altogether, so I lost everything.
Yeah, I've thought about canceling it.
But yeah, stuff like that. Or another good example would be like not your Gmail, which is obvious, but like your Google Chat history, all your Hangouts, every Hangout you've ever done.
Well, that's just in my history. It's right there in my email. It's in the same interface. It's in the same web screen.
But it used to not be, right? And maybe
what?
you've got like an IRC channel. You got a bot like backing that shit up.
Well, you know what, kids?
Everything anyone's ever chatted.
As I said in the backups episode, I have an archive of every online digital conversation of text, typing, I have ever had since 1996. Every one, every IM, every email.
Yep.
So take that, people. The first thing I ever said to Scott was, "Hey, I'm that long-haired guy. You want to meet at Gracie's for dinner at 6 before we go to the D&D thing?" That was the first message I ever sent to Scott. I looked it up ahead of time of this show.
What kind of other things do I use where I'm storing my information?
It's mostly
on
reviews.
someone else's computer.
It's mostly the throwaway comments, like I review something on a site. And I've reviewed enough things to where now I have this sort of history of recommendations and reviews. Like the list of restaurants I order food from on Grubhub. If Grubhub disappeared, I would not remember the names of most of the restaurants that I order food from online that I've never visited in person.
There are some other things.
I don't even know where they are.
Right. There are some other things that might be kind of tricky. For example, Steam, right? On Steam, you should go to every Steam game in your list. And I don't know if you should necessarily like install every Steam game just in case Steam goes away, right? But maybe go through and get all the keys, because you can do that. You can say, show me the CD keys from this game, right? And get them all into like a text file somewhere. That way, if Steam disappears, you can go find the installer for that game, install it legitimately and not, piratey and spyware, malware-y, and just paste your CD key in and the game will work, right? Even when Steam is gone. You'll still be able to get the installer from somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to say because at the same time, if Steam went down, it would piss off the kinds of people who would make sure that every one of those games was immediately available on some sort of pirated fashion.
I mean, but if you're really paranoid about something like that, your option is basically get a giant hard drive and install every Steam game you have on all at once. And unlike me, where I only install the ones I'm sort of playing recently.
In fact, if you're extra paranoid, then put the computer you downloaded them into offline mode and then hibernate it.
But anytime you buy a new game, you got to turn it on, download the game, and hibernate it again.
Then you keep VMs images of those hibernated states.
Sure.
So you could theoretically play those games forever no matter what. That's not a bad idea, actually.
It's a lot of effort.
I'm not going to do it.
Right?
If Steam goes down, I'm just going to rabble about it.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Some of these things don't have like a backup, a way to do something about it.
Well, that's the thing. The real future is that normal people don't know or care, whatever. But if you're nerdy and you're smart, try to only rely upon services that give you an API and or are federated. If a service is not one or both of those things, you should assume that it'll disappear while you're still alive.
Well, I mean, there's a trend lately of people doing things they want to disappear, like Snapchat and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
ephemeral communication. Even though those things, actually, my only interest in those services is making clients that save everything anyway, because fuck you.
Right, well, I mean, people already can just take screenshots and right? It's not a big deal, but it's, whatever.
Yeah. Thing is,
it's great for the person. It's really great for the company that runs it because they basically don't have to store anything.
I know.
They're basically like, hey, let's just run a shitty service where it's so cheap because we don't have to buy 1 million hard drives.
Brilliant.
Super easy infrastructure compared to anyone else.
So if I had to guess things that are going to die in the foreseeable near future, like years out, Google Voice is definitely going to disappear.
Well, that's for sure.
I wonder what's going to happen to Delicious in the long term.
I don't. Delicious,
It costs so little to run is the only reason I think it'll hang on.
And like people are working on it, and they bought it. It's like, but is it? It's a coin toss. I think it's got better odds than Google Voice, though.
I think Pandora is going to die, and I think Spotify's not going to make it either.
I don't know. Those might be the kind of things where, like Sirius XM Radio, it'll get merged, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what could happen.
They'll merge,
There'll be
but
like one thing that takes, like RDO, all three of those.
Well, I'll say this. All your metadata in all those kinds of services will probably die unless you happen to pick the one that everyone merges into.
That's why I don't put metadata into those services. I'm actually using Amazon Cloud Player, and that's a pretty good one because basically all it does is I'm actually using local iTunes, which is super safe, and then you basically mirror that to Amazon Cloud Player.
I think City Bike's going to die.
That's not a cloud service.
It's a physical service.
Sure.
I think it'll die, though.
What else? I don't know. I mean, Flickr has probably better odds than Delicious, right, of being safe.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't trust Yahoo.
No. But yeah, anything that's like a tiny startup has really bad odds, unless it's been, even if it gets bought by someone huge. It's like Beluga dead. Right?
Yeah.
It's like that GroupMe thing. That's as unstable as Beluga was, right? Maybe a little bit more stable.
And those two services are not likely to have competitor replacements because Google Hangouts and or Facebook combined cover the use cases.
Yep. There's just what else is there? I guess Adobe Behance is going to be safe. I mean, Adobe's basically just going to...
Behance is on this kind of upswing lately, which is interesting.
And Adobe Creative Cloud Storage, it's like, that's one of those things where I don't think too many people are using it compared to other things.
I've never uploaded anything to it.
Right, I've used it a tiny, tiny bit. But
I should use it more, actually, because it's free. I already pay for the Adobe stuff.
But like, because it's something that people pay $1 zillion for and Adobe just gives it to you for free, it's the kind of thing that will stick around, likely. Probably even more likely than Flickr to stick around.
I think professional tools that cost significant money are a lot safer. Like
even
I said,
if they
Amazon,
don't have, it's like
AWS.
they don't need to have a lot of users to stick around, right?
Yeah. Well, also like Adobe Creative Cloud,
because people are paying for it even if they're not using it.
If all the things around that go down, that affects entire industries. Industries of professionals who use that software on a daily basis. I'm using it right now for Geeknights. I'm looking at Audition. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.